This is Linda Pinizzotto of the Condo Expert here, speaking to you through Bayshore Health and Wellness, powered by the Hayes FM in Mississauga. You know, in the past I've spoken a lot about how we, depending on the areas of the city, we may not have a lot of children in the building. Like if you take a look at the downtown Toronto core, I would have to actually estimate that there might only be, maybe if you're lucky, 10 children that are actually in the building, and a lot of them tend to be under school ages. However, in the suburban areas, of course, that's not the case because condominiums offer a high level of affordability. But today I want to introduce Tylaine Duggan, and she's an amazing woman. She is actually the CEO of KPYO, which actually stands for Kids Play and Youth Outlook. But not only that, she's also the founder of Youth Day, and she's the creator of the Ty Card. So there's a lot of things happening in the downtown core, and I'm going to speak with Ty and give you all the information about Youth Day. So welcome to the Condo Expert, Tylaine.
Thank you very much, Linda. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Well, it's great having you. I know that we go back a long time. I mean,
yes, we do.
Yes, I think we've been friends for, I would say, almost close to 20 years now.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen the city change.
Well, this is it. And, the interesting thing is that you put two dynamic women together and look what happens. I mean, I remember a few years back when you started the Youth Day, and if we can go back into the history of it, back in 2007 at Nathan Phillips Square.
Yeah, and Linda, it all came from a creation of the Summer of the Gun, that terrible summer. Just watching youth not having activities, budgets being cut, and really I just wanted to come up with something that would engage them, to help them focus, and to show their positive achievements. And let us all applaud that.
Oh, absolutely. Children, and it doesn't matter. I mean, children from all ages at any given time, and depending on their family circumstances and the income that's coming in the family and how much involvement there is makes a huge difference in how they grow up and what they're exposed to.
Well, and in particular on that subject, I chose the arts, their music, their dance, their arts, and their photography. And I find it certainly made an influence in my life growing up when I was a teenager. And I find them most affordable over sports. And they're very accessible. You can dance in your living room. We all do.
Oh, for sure. Well, this is it. So Youth Day, let's go back a bit and we'll describe Youth Day, because I know this year you have your event again coming up at Dundas Square in the city of Toronto.
Mm-hmm. And really, the message to the kids here is next time you're upset, please pick up a guitar or a paintbrush. Just don't pick up a gun. So I find that the arts that we feature in particular can change your mood or your outlook, whether it's singing to your favorite song, or you can dance it off, or draw out the anger or the sadness. And that's what we're doing, is pretty well giving the youth a free stage where they can shine. And frankly, if we can afford Secretary's Day, I think we can afford an annual Youth Day. And that's their moment to light up. And frankly, if you're performing in front of 30,000 people, believe me, you will boost your self-esteem, and it helps them focus on a new passion.
Well, it's interesting, too, because, I would have to think that, they can look deep in themselves and they can actually see some real positive impact. Mm-hmm. And who knows where that positive impact will lead and guide them through their future. It could open up so many different doors for them. It's unbelievable.
Well, the other part about Youth Day, which has now set several world records year over year, because we feature over 100 acts during one day. And it means that we're crossing genres all the time. One moment you're listening to rock, one moment you're listening to jazz, one moment you're watching ballet. It exposes our youth to other things that they might otherwise not see at home.
So what is the age limit? I think you start at 14. Is that what it was?
Well, we like to feature the artists that come out for auditions. They've just concluded auditions, actually, just now. We always hold them as of springtime. And it ranges from 14 to 29. That said, last year, people like other mentors, I like to call them, like Leona Boyd, came out and emceed for us. And, you know, we've had various age groups, including very small little 8-year-olds that we feature as well. We want everyone in Toronto to be part of this and celebrate the huge amount of talent we have in Toronto. We should be proud of these kids.
Well, you know, that's why I thought, too, is, you know, as I mentioned earlier, with condominiums, we have 70,000 condo owners in that particular neighborhood. That whole entertainment district, Dundas Square, the financial district, that whole body in there, all the way up, like north up towards Bloor. So it's a shout out to the condo owners. Make sure you come out and watch Youth Day, you know, and maybe give out a date. When is Youth Day going to be on?
We always hold it on a Sunday so that everybody can participate. We'll have to take time off work, hopefully. And we make sure that all the parents can be there, and we all give a shout-out to our Toronto youth. And this year it'll be Sunday, July. It starts at 11 a.m., and it runs right through to 11 p.m.
And I can just imagine, I remember way back, I've past chair of Celebrations of Youth Organization is where the nonprofit association holds and supports Youth Day, correct?
And thank you so much, Linda, for everything you've done to make this happen for Toronto. It sings praises to you.
Well, to you too. I mean, you know, Tylaine, you're like a magic bullet out there. Like, seriously, you get your mind on something and nothing's going to stand in your way. You know, if I go back, I would take us back into history when we all stood outside 2007, Nathan Phillips Square. At the beginning of it, we had rain. And the volunteers were phenomenal because we were very fortunate. It cleared, the skies started to clear up and move forward, and the performance was amazing.
Well, we actually work with, as you know, we work with two boards. One is an adult board of experts in their field to enable this to happen. And I want to point out, we do not depend on government funding whatsoever. Even though this is a free event, all the artists perform for free. That includes headliners that want to give back to their fans. And it's actually corporate Canada brands, because we do have an unprecedented Yonge Street closure right from Dundas to Shooter every year. And we feature more than 100 vendors, from food to fashion to novelties to artisans, and to very valuable information stations about things in your community that are available for the family, whether it's for the youth or family members or elder members. Even Veteran Affairs will be featured this year as well.
Well, I think you had a special guest last year, did you not? Well, I mean, you had a number of them, but on the political side, I think we were talking something about Lieutenant Governor.
The Lieutenant Governor General is a big supporter of Youth Day.
Yes,
indeed.
Absolutely. So, you know, that just shows you how well recognized Youth Day is.
Well, I must say that I think every community in Canada, around the world, needs a Youth Day. We need to help these young people, creative people, help them focus. We hear it from the parents. If they feel that their child was going one direction or the other, or not necessarily a good direction, once they know they're performing in front of 30,000 people, boy, do they focus. And now they know their son's in the garage practicing daily with his friend.
Well, you know, this is it. And I think it's too, you know, I find that a lot of times with children, they really just want you to believe in them. You know, I mean, we're adult and we're out there and we're trying to, you know, I guess to some degree pave the way and carve a future for them by exposing them to a number of different things. And the interesting thing is not all children get that from their home environment. But even if they, you know, if they can get this kind of exposure, and identify, I guess, important things that they have going in within them. Like, sometimes you can go and, you're singing in the shower, you're walking around the house, and maybe they just like their dancing, but they really don't understand how good they are. And
that
no
is
matter,
very much the case, yes. And
yes.
Like you say, the exposure. Let me give you a case in point. We had a gentleman come up with a violin to the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, there's 2 stages, so it's nonstop. There is no pause at all. And you don't have to move your head. One moment there's dance on the front stage, and then there's a musician on the back stage. And it just circulates like that all day long. That's how we're able to pull this off with so many artists. But the violinist, you could see the children going, oh, no. You would not believe, Linda, it was an electric violin, and he played reggae.
Oh, really? Oh, my God, that's
fantastic.
Ovation.
And this is where some of the youth in the crowd are saying, hey, I want to try that.
Well,
They've
exactly.
just never been exposed to it.
Well, this is it. And that's how, like, a competitive level, there's a bit of a competitive level of entertainment here. Because, everyone is going to reach for the sky in their talent. They're going to give the most when they're up on stage because the moment is there for them. Mm-hmm. The excitement is surrounding them. I mean, how can it not be? So and the also, adrenaline is rushing, right?
And also notice, we're not a competition. No one loses here and no one wins. It's simply do the best you can and let the audience give you that sense of support and applaud your hard work.
Mm-hmm. So all of the different times that you have, I know it runs for about, 2 months earlier, 3 months earlier, where you have different venues going on and you're allowing kids to come in and show their talent. So how does the process work prior to the big event?
Right. So after the auditions, the huge moment of anticipation, of course, will be the press conference. All of your audience is invited. It is a free event. At the Hard Rock Cafe, proud sponsor, we're happy to take them with us as we expand Youth Day, and you're welcome to join us, and that runs from 5 p.m. all evening.
And for those listeners out there, Hard Rock Cafe is right there in Dundas Square.
It is on the northeast corner.
Exactly. So, I'll do another shout out here, actually. We're very excited because you can join Facebook at YD Toronto or at YD Toronto for Twitter as well. So, we really want the audience to get on board and support Youth Day without a doubt. Now, I know that you mentioned something about 2 fashion shows.
Oh, yes. We're also now featuring Young Design and the thoughts that they have in fashion. And again, we, as a city, we should be very proud of our students in the area of design. We've certainly made international news with some of the designers from Canada. And this is our next generation that's bringing creations to life. And they'll be featuring both day wear and evening wear in 2 separate live fashion shows at Youth Day.
Okay, so they'll be going on in between. So is the music actually being provided by the youth? Or I guess they probably have their own choreography that they've put together for the fashion show.
The fashion show itself will be put to music, yes, absolutely. And the other thing to note is that a lot of them are songwriters in their own right. So they often perform their own original music. And I must give you one story. I took a phone call, and the gentleman said, well, I'm 83, and I'm not sure if I'm precluded from coming to this event. And I said, sir, we're all young at heart. Everybody's invited, everybody. And, in fact, we do get people that come as far as the United States, Quebec, Ottawa. They all come and drive in for Youth Day. And after that, he said, well, that's good, because I'm going to come down. I want to see what these young people are up to these days.
That is amazing. I think that's fantastic.
Well, it is not just people. It's not just people with children. It's people who want to keep up to date with what our city has to offer. And Toronto is so vibrant. It's got so much talent. We're so lucky.
We are. And, as you know, the Hayes FM is here in Mississauga. So what we'd like to do is in the future, well, you and I will have to work together to get Youth Day out here in Mississauga.
Excellent idea.
Absolutely. I think it would be ideal.
Always looking forward to seeing it expand. We do have a couple that have relocated to Vancouver and were part of Youth Day last year in Toronto. They want to do Youth Day Vancouver next spring.
Really?
I'm just so excited. And Linda, on that note, we're adding Youth Day New York next September. And I'm about to travel back to Europe, which is my home ground. And we're going to add London, Paris, Sydney, Australia, and Lima, Peru.
Well, there you go. There's children all over the world, and everybody around the world does have
talent. It would
talent.
be great if I could see people in their communities also want to do a Youth Day in Brampton or London, Ontario. All the youth should have a chance at this kind of opportunity. Let's just give them a stage to look great.
And this is where, this is the time when I'd like to commend all the people like yourself that, take the time and recognize that there's other things that are going on out there. We love to get paid for our jobs, of course. We have to have our jobs and of our incomes and so on. But without the volunteers and people that support different initiatives around our country, not just our province or our city, it makes a huge difference. Like if you really think about it, Tylaine, you've stepped out of the block and you've said, okay, fine, you know what? I am going to start something for youth because we need it. It's never been done before and we need it. And you took the bull by the horns and said, okay, it's happening. And it has not been easy. From 2007 to 2013, I don't think that you could actually sit down and even count the amount of hours putting this together. Never mind lack of sleep. I totally relate to that one.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we don't depend on government funding because we work with other organizations, nonprofits, to put their news out of the programs that they offer families in the Toronto area. So we don't actually request government funding. It is truly just corporate brands giving back, seeing the opportunity to address their audience and not only their customer and possibly their own workforce, but their future workforce.
Oh, absolutely. So, this would actually be, with Youth Day, I'm surprised. Like, you've got to, I think that all of the different companies that, provide, say, clothing, children's clothing, or, for instance, the Gymboree, and I know Children's Place, and all the different types of companies out there, they really need to step forward. They should actually have a tent and bring out their products.
Exactly.
I think that this would be ideal.
It's a great opportunity for them to show that they care.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's great to have, there's an awful lot of companies out there for designer kids wear and so on. Even Burberry, Armani, all of them. This is what they do. There's magazines that support children's. Well, that's great, but that is a revenue-based company. So maybe it's time for them to step on board and say, hey, you know what? We provide the product to the youth out there, the children and the youth and so on. Let's also support Youth Day. It's right up their alley. It's part of their insignia to some degree.
Absolutely, and it shows that they actually do understand cause marketing, youth, and the unfortunate escalation in violence and gangs. It behooves them to. This is their next workforce, and some of the rates that I've been looking at are quite frankly alarming. We, right now, in the GTA, are experiencing some schools with a 53% dropout rate by grade 9, and 57 are illiterate. So even sponsors could not hire them if they're illiterate, Linda. So we've got to make a change. We've got to do something, and I was tired of listening to people comment on the issues as opposed to doing something. So the more volunteers that are part of Youth Day, the more like-minded. That's what we look for. Let's make a difference ourselves.
A number of years ago, I was actually very involved in it was called the Shooting Stars, and they wanted to bring forward this is actually before The Rock, and they wanted to bring forward a professional lacrosse team. And I was approached to help out. And you know me, typically, yeah. Sure, point me in the right direction, I'll help. And that time what we did was they actually had the Shooting Stars at Maple Leaf Gardens. And the tickets to embrace all the different community high schools in the neighborhood, we decided, Johnny and I went around, and this went on for a couple of months, and we literally went to every single school and we gave out some free tickets for the kids to come to lacrosse games at Maple Leaf Gardens. Anyway, I have to tell you that I was really surprised. I mean, we went to Central Tech. You know, we went to like pretty much all of the high schools that are sort of in areas that were maybe somewhat challenged with maybe, you know, gangs and so on in that whole community going eastbound. And I won't mention all the different schools. But the interesting part is that I have to tell you, when I came walking in, I remember one day, the one student had sprayed mace at the teacher. Luckily, she moved quick enough so she didn't end up getting targeted with it. And we were standing right at the entry door coming in because we were supposed to meet with the principal. Now, I'll tell you, another time, I remember we came in and all the kids were sitting on the steps of the school having lunch and literally tossing all of their packages and wrappers and everything on the floor. And I was really surprised because that was actually right in the main lobby of the school. So I remember turning around and saying to, you know, staff there, like, why don't you stop that? That's not the way you're supposed to do it. Put containers, they should be putting their junk in the garbage. Well, you know, there's only a certain amount of things that teachers and principals and so on can do. And I was that really opened my eyes, I have to tell you, because there is a difference out there in different communities depending on how the interaction is. That's why Youth Day is so incredibly important.
I think, Linda, that our generations are starting to see some errors. And I understand the laws, but we also had, I think I was raised too with the 10 laws of the commandments, etc., thou shalt not kill, etc., etc. Those laws might have been, or those rules, shall I say, have been taken out of the school system, but they've not necessarily been replaced with anything else except the 30 rules of how to treat your lunchroom at school. But really, how does a 3-year-old know it's wrong to steal if we don't tell them?
Well, this is it. And, you know, I mean, as time goes on, especially with the force of, you know, we're all different personalities. You have very strong-minded children that may not be influenced by others. Then you have, you know, the difference, I guess, between being a leader and being a follower, correct? Mm-hmm. You know, so the idea between, I guess, using music and using the arts.
Well, music is interracial. It has no boundaries, and it doesn't matter where you come from. And we do live in the world's largest multicultural society. But that doesn't mean someone from Jamaica cannot appreciate music from China. Mm-hmm. And it creates that harmonious feeling at a younger age by the fact that each year they come to Youth Day and they see all this other stuff that's not necessarily part of their culture. But now they're being exposed to it, and they certainly build tolerance and acceptance of other cultures.
But, you know, I'm going to bring it back for a second on the statement, though, the leader. Think about this for a second, because, I mean, you know, I've been involved more with sports over my lifetime, with my boys being involved in sports and me being heavily involved in that world. And what I have found by coaching children, I have found that the more they enhance their skill, the more that they feel comfortable and confident with the abilities that they now are embracing and improving, what happens is there's actually a transition. There's a transition of being a follower to being a leader because now they believe in themselves.
Ironic you should say, because you should make that point. Even with Youth Day, much like, I guess, in our generation, we would go to the X every year, but that doesn't do quite exactly what we're doing. Yes, it's part of your annual summer. But what's happening with Youth Day is these youth are connecting with other like-minded, talented young artists. They build friendships, and one year they're a performer, and they might be 11 or 13 years old, and in just these 7 years, I've watched these same performers who were able to stand on that stage, become volunteers, and now they are leading, and they're leading the younger ones. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch, as you say, as they develop themselves.
Exactly, because they can share it. So let's hold that thought, and we'll have to break for a commercial. It's Linda Pinizzotto at the Condo Expert. I'm speaking with Tylaine Duggan, CEO and founder of Kids Play and Youth Day. We'll be right back.
Linda Pinizzotto. Whether it's a house, townhome, or condo, when you're ready, she's your negotiator. With 34 years of experience, Linda guarantees that you have the real estate knowledge you need to make the right decisions. Call Linda Pinizzotto at Sutton Group Quantum Realty, 416-561-7373, or visit her at lindapinizzotto.com.
And thank you so much for joining me. You know, today has been just a fascinating time of learning so much of what's going on out there. And that's what the Condo Expert is all about. I'll hit so many different issues. You'll notice them on iTunes and on podcast. Reporting here from the Hayes FM, you have been listening to Linda Pinizzotto of the Condo Expert. Now, also, remember, register yourself. If you're a condo owner or condo buyer, register at www.coaontario.com. And also, if you've got questions, whether they're real estate related or condominium or property values, this and that, you know, I wouldn't have the information I have had I not had the experience that I've received, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to start the Condo Owners Association without having this kind of a background. So contact me at Linda Pinizzotto, Pinizzotto, at coaontario.com, or Linda at lindapinizzotto.com. Until the next time, have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh, my computer crashed.
Oh no, I've got a virus.
No way, no internet connection. Do you need help? Call IT Mayday. 647-977-7113. ITMayday.com.